The Founder's Curse. Long live the wounded healers. I've been taken over a whirlwind of emotions and conscious expansion lately. Remembering my past lives, putting order in chaos. It's been a wild ride. I'm fine. I'm growing. And growth isn't always comfortable. It never is, in my experience. Perhaps it's my conditioning. Perhaps it's trauma, my ADHD, anxiety, rapid mood cycling, borderline bipolar. Whatever label conventional societal norms want to put on it, bottom line is, it's messy, it's confusing, and sometimes it feels like you're being spun around in a cosmic washing machine. Especially when everything around you points at you being the crazy one. I'm well put together. I'm a Cambridge grad after all. I've been driven by a higher force that keeps me thriving throughout it all, even when at rock bottom. Especially at rock bottom. There is a creative force that emerges through me. My highest high is in my lowest lows. A higher sense of purpose that has taken over me since birth. I relived my reincarnation during a Kundalini activation once. It was pretty wild, remembering the vows I took before coming on earth. I'm a special soul, but then who isn't? It's just a matter of remembering and fully owning it. For a long time, I've been hiding it. It's time to step into your power, Maya, my friend Alex said to me a couple of weeks ago. That hit me. I've been leading from behind the scenes, not really wanting to come at the forefront, perhaps not wanting my demons to show, the storm within. I have social anxiety and hate being the center of attention. How ironic is that? Because the truth is, I love being in the spotlight. Dualities. No one will say it to you as it is. I do. Blunt Sagittarius is out of her cave, pulling strings and waving webs together. Who did that? Synchronicities. You came back for us, Maya. You connected us all. You created a web of magic, and now you're leaving. When will you be back? I won't. The old Maya is gone. It's time to emerge anew. And there goes the tale of leadership and creation. Creation and leadership. Leadership in creation. Creation in leadership. Death and rebirth. A constant repeating cycle. I hate cycles. Where am I going with this? You must be wondering. I'm wondering myself. There it goes. Just for the sake of. Everyone thinks founders are heroes, but really, founders are just wounded healers. The curse of the founder. Atlas and the Chironic wound. There is a cacophony of diagnosis and labels that attempt to describe the storm within. These labels are bullshit. They're mere bandages on a deeper wound, the Chironic wound of the founder. Chiron is the mythical centaur, wise but eternally wounded healer. He is perpetually grappling with his own pain while offering solace and guidance to others. Like Chiron, we, the founders, carry a double burden. We bear the weight of our own battles, the internal Atlas struggling to hold up the sky of our anxieties and self-doubts. But at the same time, we are expected to be the healers, the leaders who inspire and guide our teams and our users towards a brighter future. And for those of us who dream bigger, we are the leaders meant to change the entire world. 8 billion people. Is that all? It's a tightrope between our personal struggles and the expectations placed upon us, most often by our own selves. It's innate, at least from my own lens. It has been. The chironic wound runs deep, cutting to the core of our identities and shaping the way we perceive ourselves and our roles in the world. But where does it come from is the question I cannot seem to have yet found the answer to. Some would say it's a wound born of vulnerability, the constant pressure to perform, to succeed, to live up to the impossible standards society places on us, the impossible standards we place upon ourselves. I believe it runs deeper than this. It's either core trauma or past lives. There is no in between. Or maybe it's both. Chiron and the wounded child. There comes a point in our childhood where something happens that deeply scars us. It scars us in a way that will propel us into a lifetime of seeking validation, success, and achievement as a means of healing those wounds. This core trauma, often buried deep within our subconscious, shapes the very fabric of our identities and influences the way we navigate the world. I have recently become aware of a core wound, a trauma I've lived in my childhood, one that I had completely forgotten about: abuse, shattered self-trust and deep abandonment issues, anxious avoidant tendencies, and the list goes on. I've labeled it all as it seemed to explain a lot of my founder's behavior so far. Mainly the self-sabotaging and reckless tendencies. And as I've gone deep into a healing experience, a complete shift happened. I find myself in a chaotic place, lost and confused on how to move forward, as I have been stripped bare naked of all the embedded trauma manufactured fuel. I discovered all this time my 5-year-old inner child was trying to build a rocket ship from cardboard boxes. Ingenious, yet ultimately ill-suited for space travel. Those who know me know I've been obsessively navigating my inner realms for the past 3 years now. This discovery, however, was a game changer. 5 hours deep in the depths of my subconscious with one of the best healers I know of. She went straight to it, and I surrendered. The abuse, the shattered self-trust, the abandonment. I see now how they have shaped me, how they have influenced the way I perceive myself and interact with the world, how they have influenced the way I was building my company. Everything, all of a sudden, made sense. Now here's the twist. As the wounds dissolved, so did we's legal entity. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, gave me a clean slate, rebranding, starting anew, synchronicity, serendipity. What will you do with this renewed sense of self-awareness, Maya? Perhaps move to the West Coast and take over the world. It's been long overdue. Even more intriguing, as the old wounded Maya dissolved, the chironic wound did too. In its place, a powerful truth reinforced. The unshakable belief that I am meant to change the world. Atlas replaced Chiron all of a sudden. It's not trauma, it's past lives. Atlas and the weight of past lives. Nothing much really to say here, besides that some of us are born with an innate desire to change the world. We are meant to. It's written in the stars. Atlas wasn't just burdened, he was chosen. He was entrusted with a responsibility that transcended his own needs. Similarly, some of us are born with it. It is in our DNA. But what is it? Ancestral calling, past life contracts, quantum brain computers. Whatever it is, we are wired for impact, driven by a force greater than ourselves. Call it however you wish to. There is a reason we feel compelled to carry this weight. The Atlas complex, inherited responsibility. It's the reason the status quo grates on us, why the world's problems keep us up at night. We are the outliers, the revolutionaries, the ones who see a future brimming with possibility where others see an inevitable decline. It often feels like a curse, but actually, it's a gift. A gift I love to hate. A gift I hate to love. A gift I would not gift to anyone but myself. How much do I love myself, you reckon? Duality manufactured. It's dualistic, to say the least. The problem is in trying to make it non-dual, perceived as two separate and not one and the same, because ultimately they are one. We, as founders, are both wounded and healers, burdened by our own struggles, yet tasked with elevating the struggles of others. We are Atlas, holding up the weight of our inherited responsibilities while being called upon to inspire and lead, all while navigating the complexities of being a human. What a treat! In our quest to reconcile these dualities, we often fall into the trap of viewing these roles as separate and distinct, as if our struggles and our leadership were two opposing forces locked in eternal conflict. This perception is flawed, utterly wrong. It fails to recognize the inherent interconnectedness of our experiences. Our wounds are not separate from our strengths. Our struggles are not separate from our successes. They are two sides of the same coin, inseparable, intertwined. To transcend this duality, we must embrace the paradox at its core. We must recognize that our wounds are not weaknesses to be hidden. They're not meant to be overcome, but rather integrated. Our wounds are our biggest sources of wisdom and empathy, crucibles in which our resilience is forged, the greatest inspiration in our creation, the greatest wisdom in our leadership, the wellspring from which our compassion flows. Acknowledging and integrating our wounds unlocks the power to heal not only ourselves, but also those around us. Leaders are healers. Our roles as leaders and healers are not mutually exclusive, but inherently intertwined. Our ability to lead is rooted in our capacity to heal ourselves, first and foremost, to listen, to empathize, to inspire. By acknowledging and processing our own chironic wounds, we transform from Atlas burdened by the weight of the world into a beacon of light. Authentic and empathic leaders. Yes, there is a thin line in between, and that will never thicken. Ultimately, it's about becoming aware and embracing it all. I speak so openly about my demons, my vulnerabilities, my fears, my lows, my struggles, because these are my strengths. I'm not afraid to speak of them. I'm not afraid to dig into them. In fact, I love it. I'm not afraid to fully feel them because they make me who I am. As a founder, as a leader, a woman, a human being, I am here to fully live through this dualistic, quite fucked up, and yet miraculous experience we call human life. Life is a miracle, and I will embrace it all. allowing for my madness to fully blossom in my genius to fully blossom in my madness. I am madly genius, and so what? When we lead from a place of wholeness, free from the burdens of our perceived selves, we fully step into our power. We inspire others to embrace their vulnerabilities and strive for their highest potential. But most importantly, we inspire ourselves. I choose to continuously inspire myself. The truth is, I'm not building this startup to change the world. I'm building it to change myself. And in changing myself, I change the world as well. But the way is not reaching out. The way is reaching in. I'm not burdened by the weight of the world. I'm empowered by the legacy of all the versions of myself that lived before me.